There are 5 things that everyone who is born of God must carry. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, they say, let us make man in our own image. That is the essence of God. And the essence of God is the glory of God. And so the first thing God gave the man was his glory. That is why when man fell, the Bible said, for all have sinned and falling short of the glory of God. So he said, let us make man in our own image. The glory is the carboid of God, the essence of God, the nature of God. What makes him God? He planted it first in the man. The second thing he said is, let us make man in our own likeness. That is his righteous character. So this man has the ability to live above iniquity. The third thing God said was in 1 verse 28. He said, let them have dominion. So he gave man authority to function as a ruler. Every one of us is supposed to be a king, not a slave. That's why God is called King of Kings, not King of Slaves. Let them have dominion. And so everybody who is in the class of man carries the glory of God, carries the righteous character of God, and carries the authority of God to exercise dominion. And God didn't stop there. The Bible said in Genesis chapter 3 verse 8, in the cool of the day, the voice of God came walking. So God gave man access to his presence. It is that presence alone that Moses had that made Moses become invincible. The Bible said the Shekinah went with him day and night. No kingdom could subdue him. No army could subdue him. By carrying only the presence was enough to make Israel invincible, that no nation could overpower them. And so God gave man access to his presence. And the 5th thing God wanted to give man in order to consummate on the 4 things he has done was his life. But what God did was that he planted the life in the garden. In Genesis 2 verse 9, he said, the day the man becomes wise to take that life, the glory we awoken, the righteousness we awoken, the presence we awoken, and of course the dominion we also awoken. So the key to man receiving all God had to offer was anchoring on life. But unfortunately, the man did not grow in that order of wisdom. The serpent came and told the man, no, don't go for life. Go for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so the man decided to rebel against God. And because he didn't take life, he now lost the presence, he lost the dominion, he lost the glory, and he lost the righteousness. Just because he didn't take life. And so when God was looking at the man, I know if this man calls upon me, I will intervene. But that's not his problem. And so for many centuries, they called upon the Lord when they were in famine, when they were in captivity. God will intervene. But that's not the answer. The answer is not my intervention. I wanted to create you to be like me, so that everywhere there is need for intervention, I will send you there. You are supposed to be my governor in the physical realm. You are supposed to be the one who brings my intervention. Something is wrong. So it did not please God that he was intervening. What God wanted to do was to raise a man that was of his own stature. But the key was the life that he didn't take. And so the way God decided to wrap up this economy was in John 3:16. He said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have eternal life. So what Jesus brought for us was to bring us the life that we didn't take in the Garden of Eden. And so what Adam lost in the Garden of Eden, Jesus replaced in the Garden of Life. He brought us a new order of life. And so the reason we preach Christ is not necessarily because we want to talk about God. Yes, we talk about God so that you will know him, so that you will appreciate him, so that you will worship him, so that you will serve him. But in addition to that, the reason we preach Christ is because that is your ticket to life. But you see, when you receive life, you don't stop at the level of life. When you receive life, you receive righteousness, you receive glory, you receive the presence, and you receive dominion. Your life, therefore, is expected to become a wonder, because what God wanted to give the man in the garden to make him a Lord is what he has given to you now. This is why the moment you are born again, Romans chapter 4 verse 25 and Romans chapter 5 verse 1, the Bible said Jesus was delivered for our offense. And in Romans chapter 5 verse 1, he said, being freely justified by faith. we have peace with God. So God has concluded our judgment in the courts of heaven, and he has acquitted us, and he has credited us with righteousness. But this righteousness is not just right standing with God, because if it is right standing with God alone, it would have secured you God's presence. In Romans chapter 5 verse 17, the Bible said, they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of life shall reign. So the day we receive righteousness, we were conferred upon the signature of reigning in life. And so two things God did first was to make you righteous, declaring you to become his legal representative in the earth realm without guilt and without condemnation. And so when the princes come, what empowers the princes is your offense. Because the moment you sin, you became a slave. He said, whoever yields himself a servant of sin will become a slave of sin. So the day God declared you righteous, the devil lost his authority over you. What gave the devil the authority to rule over you is the accusation that sin brought on you. But now you have been declared righteous. And so the Bible said, having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a public show of them, triumphing over them by the cross. He said, for every handwriting of ordinance that was against us, Christ nailed it to the cross.